intercontinental ballistic missiles that can reach into Europe and soon into the United States. And you know, Western leaders can go on blaming Israel for this, for fighting this common menace, or they can do something about it. And it remains to be seen.
Good. He's such a good interviewee, man. He's able to dodge this shit and everything else. Like again, these guys aren't pushing back enough. They're just pushing back enough. Like, because here's the thing. This is why let's finish watching it, then I'll give you guys my analysis.
Whether they've drawn the lesson, but we've learned the lessons of history. Somebody says he's going to kill you, wake up in time. And you know something? That's from biology too. You know, for an organism to survive, it has to recognize danger in time. And it has two options at that point, to fight or flight. You know, flight or fight. And we have nowhere to flee. We're in our ancestral homeland, and we're not going anywhere. So we fight them, but we're not fighting them only on our behalf. We're fighting them on your behalf too. And I hope that you have the opportunity to carry this message far and wide. So I thank you for this.
Thank you for your time, Prime.
They're trying to fix their media thing. Okay, so what you guys just witnessed is a limited hangout, right? So look, the Israelis know that they're in a very bad position right now. Okay, they know that their approval ratings are in the fucking toilet. They understand that the entire international community hates them, right? Hold on, let me fix this stuff. The Israelis know that their reputation in the international stage is in the fucking toilet. They know that a lot of people don't approve of Israel. They know a lot of people don't like Israel. And quite frankly, the people giving them their sustained support over the next couple of years is going to be difficult to justify. And then if we get other people into office, it's going to be damn near impossible to justify. The Israelis understand this. So now that they're in the last phase of this conflict where they're now kind of going in to occupy the area, they need to start doing some PR, right? Positive PR. So you're going to, look to see more interviews by Benjamin Netanyahu, other members of the Israeli government, and also look to, conservative American influencers like the idiots I showed you guys before to go to Israel and, report all this shit or whatever now that they're letting reporters in. And then also be ready for censorship. Now, this interview here, right, as you guys can see, people got fooled, right? In the chat, they're like, if you look at the comments, like, subscribe. Okay, the strange irony of our era is that two stand-up comics have taken the responsibility that mainstream media abandoned. Piers Morgan crying in jealousy, getting the interview with Tommy Robinson, and now Netanyahu seems like a turning point for journalism in our time, blah, blah, blah. So what they're saying is like, this is journalism. These guys all got fooled. This was the definition of a fucking limited hangout, okay? Now, you guys are probably wondering, what the fuck is a limited hangout? Well, a limited hangout, guys, is a strategic, disinformation tactic where true information is strategically released to the public, but only partially to conceal deeper, more significant truth or to distract from it, originating in espionage and intelligence. It's used in media politics and information management control, public perception by allowing a controlled release of facts that may not be the whole story, thereby diverting attention or creating a false impression of transparency. This is precisely what these fucking dudes did. Okay? This is probably the clearest example of a limited hangout I've seen in a very long time. Textbook fucking limited hangout. Benjamin Netanyahu going on to Nelk Boys and the backlash from that made him have to pivot and switch gears and realize, okay, I can't blatantly go in there and just lie about everything. I had to tell some things that are true. I have to deflect certain questions. I have to allow them to at least ask me the tough questions. Do I have to answer fully? No. And that's what this interview accomplished. Make no fucking mistake about it. Okay, chat? This guy right here, Constantine, in case you niggas need a reminder. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's only been Jews that have been able to kind of have this discussion on the mainstream. Have you guys caught on to that? You guys caught on to that? Now, a lot of people give my guy Nick Fuentes a hard time, right? Hey, why do you insult Dave Smith so much? Blah, blah, blah. Nick doesn't have a problem with Dave Smith. People need to understand this. He doesn't have a problem with Dave Smith. He has a problem how they prop Dave Smith to be the face and the opposing voice to the Zionist narrative. That is what he's like, what the fuck? Okay? I like Dave. I think he's a nice guy. But you can't fucking sit there and tell me that he didn't get picked to have these very difficult conversations because he's Jewish. You can't tell me that that's not what it is. It is what that is what it is. There's a reason why they put Dave Smith across the table from stupid Douglas Murray to have this very difficult conversation. Okay? Have you guys noticed that, like, Dave Smith is the guy that they bring in for every single debate where there's going to be a confrontation and things are going to have to be said that are difficult? Dave is fantastic at articulating himself and going into the problems with Israeli foreign policy, but he doesn't go all the way. He doesn't talk about world Jewry, doesn't talk about, how Jews behave and how Jewish people in general behave. He's a strictly to Israel, which is fine. That's a very valid strategy. That's a very valid strategy. But it misses a lot. So Constantine is a Zionist. He's went on Piers Morgan multiple times and debated and argued for Israel's ability to defend itself and kill innocent people. And as a matter of fact, I think he debated Dave Smith, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. Yeah, he did. Yeah, because I remember reacting to this. Boom, there you go. So this is another example.
The Middle East.
This is another example of a limited hangout. Right? Look, I wish Dave all the best. I hope he does more interviews. But bro, at some point you got to bring in people that aren't Jewish to talk about this topic in these big stage debates. It's like they're picking certain individuals that won't go all the way. Guys like myself, guys like Nick, etc. We're fucking blackballed, bro. Right? So this interview with Benjamin Netanyahu is the definition of a limited hangout. They asked some tough questions. I'll give them that. It wasn't a full-on like full sended. But they could have asked more, and I don't think they asked the real questions. Okay? How many Hamas fighters have you killed? Specifically. What led you to do all the fucking carpet bombing when you guys have the ability to use precision missiles? Why was there not more of an effort to use special forces to go in and eliminate Hamas's leadership and avoid all the casualties? Why are you bombing above ground when the tunnels are underground? Why have you had a blockade and starving Palestinians? You claim that you have a bunch of trucks that go in. Roughly 20 trucks go in per day when it needs to be 150. This has been documented by many different human rights groups. Why are you only letting in 20 trucks? So they asked some questions, right, about his people like Ben Gvir or whatever, but this was the definition textbook of a limited hangout, guys. And expect to see more interviews like this, where Netanyahu is going to be interviewed by people that are either A, Jewish Zionists or Zionists that are pro-Israel, but they're going to ask the tough questions to make it look like they're being objective. The Nelk interview was such a fucking blunder that Israel looked at it and said, okay, we can't do this. We cannot do softball interviews. BB, get ready. You're going to need to go do a tour and do a media push and answer some of these hard questions. You could deflect. You could do what you do as a politician. And courtesy to Piers Morgan, Piers Morgan has gotten red-pilled on the Jews over the past 2 years. I saw him start out with, do you condemn Hamas? To fucking, I can't stand by the Israeli government anymore. I do think that Piers Morgan would be able to do a good interview at this point. I do think so. And Netanyahu's interviewed him before. But I would be surprised, I'd be shocked if he gave Piers Morgan an interview. He gave these an interview, and Piers is way bigger than these guys. So it's not a matter of reach and relevance. It's a matter of, I'll answer some tough questions, but me and you got to be on the same team when I walk into this interview room. I guarantee you, Constantine told him, these are the questions we're going to ask you. Gave him the questions ahead of time. Because we know Nelk had those questions ahead of time. What you can and what you can't ask. And they went from there.